If you're a developer who spends a lot of time with Docker, you might be missing out on these shortcuts. Today, we're uncovering power user Docker commands that will boost your productivity. Let's start with getting into the Docker container shell. It's essential for debugging. Here's how you can use the Docker run command to open a shell in a Node.js Docker image. So assuming you have Docker installed on your machine and you're ready to go with that, and you can use that in the command line, you open up your favorite terminal. I'm on Windows Subsystem for Linux, and I can run docker-it-rm to remove it, the image name, which is node, and then /bin/bash. When I do that, well, I've already done that, so let me switch over here to this one. You can see it ends up opening up a bash terminal within that Docker container that's running, and then I can do things within there and see what's going on, run the normal command line type of thing, so I can explore and debug that container further. One thing to note, if you're using like git bash on Windows, you're going to want to switch this command to be from /bin/bash to just /bash, like this. And that'll work for you on git bash for Windows. Now, ever wondered how to check your Node.js Docker image version? Let me show you a cool trick using the JQ CLI tool that can help with this. First, you likely don't have this JQ CLI tool installed on your machine, and to get that, you can go to jqlang.github.io. Here's what that looks like. And based on the type of operating system you're using, it'll give you instructions on how to download and install for that one for you. Okay, so once you have JQ installed, you can run this command to get that Node.js Docker image version information, along with some other things if you'd like, using JQ to help format that. So you run docker image inspect, the name of the image, you pipe that into the JQ CLI tool and tell it to filter out based on these keys here that I have in a string like this. And I hit enter. You can see it shows me the path where that's running, the node version, and the yarn version that's being used within that image. So for those of you using Apple's M1 or above chip, Apple's architecture, you need Docker images that run smoothly on ARM architecture for that. And here's how to ensure you're pulling the right images from Docker Hub for it. So let's say you're using the node LTS bullseye image, which is shown here at the end of it. The way you can check the format on that is you can run docker image inspect --format .architecture in that string there, and that'll let us know what architecture that particular image is supported on. And in this case, we could see it's ARM64. If you need to go and get a specific platform-based version of that image that you want, well, you can use the following command. Here's the command you could use: docker pull --platform, and then you tell it that you want Linux ARM64 v8, and then the name of the image that you want there. And that will go ahead and pull that correct version for you. Changes in your Docker container? Well, let's use the docker diff command to see what has been modified, added, or deleted in your Node.js Docker container. All right, so the first thing is you got to make sure you have a container available. So I'm going to run docker container ls, and I can see that I have this one in particular. I can copy the ID from that and then use it in the next command that we're going to run, which is docker diff and the container image ID, or the container ID rather. And you can see mine comes back with nothing, but what would happen is the command would return a list of changes made to the Docker container for you. For instance, changes that would happen whether the file or directory was added with an A, whether it was modified with the letter C, or deleted with the letter D. Security with your containers is paramount, and that's where Snyk comes into play. Let's scan a Docker image for vulnerabilities with the Snyk CLI tool. First up, what you're going to need to do is install the Snyk CLI tool. And if you haven't done that before, there'll be a link in the description below. But if you have Node already set up on your machine, you can just use npm to install that. npm i-g, so it's globally installed, and Snyk. So I already have Snyk installed on my machine, so I'm going to skip that step for now. But once you have it installed, you can run this command to test your container for your project. So in this case, I'm using Snyk container. I'm telling it to test the name of the container that I want to test and where it can find the Docker file that defines that container for me, for my project rather. And what that command will do is it'll scan your container with Snyk and find out about any vulnerabilities that are found within it. And so as we can see here, it found 5 issues from 692 dependencies that were found inside of this particular container that I have for my project. And I can see there's, for instance, I go through each one of them if I'd like. I have this high severity vulnerability found in this Go proxy. That's a denial of service problem that I have issued that I have to look into and learn more about it. And I can find out with this link in the terminal here. So in addition to this, we can also get what's called a software bill of materials on our container, or SBOM. And what this does is it lets us know about all the components that consist within our container. So things like dependencies and their versions. So let's take a look at how to do that now. So if you want to get the SBOM for your container, you can use the Snyk CLI tool in this way, where you run Snyk container test, the name of the image. You want to add this ---- JSON flag to tell it to output in the JSON format. And then just for formatting purposes so that we can see it nicely in the terminal, we'll use JQ again. So we use pipe JQ to see the results of that. And here you can see it outputting very quickly and flashing before our eyes right here, all the different components that are consisted within that container that make it run. Do you have a need to reference your Docker images precisely in your scripts? Maybe you need to specify and pin to the exact image in a Docker Compose file. Well, you need to use the Docker SHA ID in order to do that. And here's how to list all your Docker images with their full SHA-256 digests. In order to do this, you're going to run Docker images -- no -trunk, meaning no truncation of the SHA for each image. And there you go. You get the full image ID, the SHA-256 digest of it. If you're trying to debug your web server running in your container, but can't remember the IP address for it, well, you can use this command with the name or ID of your container to get it. So first up, you're going to use the Docker CLI here, Docker Inspect -- format. You're going to pass in this string of .network settings, .IP address, and then the container ID. So in this case, that's my container ID. I'll send that in, and we can see now that it is that address, and I can more easily access the IP address and use it how I need when debugging my web server. If troubleshooting is part of your daily routine, knowing how to inspect Node.js child processes inside your Docker container is a game changer. Here's how you can do that. Using the Docker CLI again, and in particular the top functionality, we can pass in the container ID and see the processes that are running within that Docker container and debug this much further, more easily. In this case, I just have bin bash running on that particular image, that container rather, right now. But if I had more child processes running, more node processes running, I can inspect those further and better troubleshoot the process or the issue that I'm running into within the container. Lastly, if you ever need detailed data on an image to understand version specifics, dependencies within the image, and other key attributes, then you can quickly gather them from Docker Hub. Now, typically you can go to Docker Hub, the website, as you can see here, and search for the image that you want to find out more details about that. But being that you're going to be in the command line anyway, here's how you can use a CLI tool called curl that'll allow you to query the Docker Hub API and then format the output using JQ like this. So first of all, if you don't have curl, you can install it from the website curl.se, as you can see here, and get it set up for your various operating systems that you're working within. Then once you have curl installed in the command line, you can use curl in this way, paste in the URL of the image that you want to look for. So in this case, node. Notice that we're using v2 of the API, and then we pipe the results into JQ. So I press enter, and then I can see all the results and information about the image tags, or the image rather, and get all that metadata on that image that I want to use. And with that, you've just leveled up your Docker skills using these advanced commands. If you're looking to secure your Docker containers even further, check out Snyk's robust security solutions. Don't forget to sign up for a free Snyk account to start securing your applications right away. That does it for this video. If you got value out of it, be sure to like it down below and share it with a colleague who could put it to use. And if you made it this far, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on upcoming videos. Thanks for watching, and happy, safe coding, everyone.